Quasi here, and in today's video, I want to share with you how to properly meditate. Now, I've been getting this question a lot, like, Quasi, how do I meditate? What's the right way to do it? Am I doing it right? Should I do this? Should I do the guided meditation? Or should I just, sit down and do it myself? What's the right thing to do? In this video, I'm going to share with you why you should meditate, what's the biggest mistake you can make with it, how I actually meditate, and the best way you can start meditating right now, and actually the true purpose of meditation itself. So make sure you stick around to the very end of it, because if you've been struggling with meditating and you don't see results from it, I do think this will be very valuable to you. So before I get started with this video, I wanted to quickly announce that you can now access our exclusive email list where I can share stuff that I can't really share on the channel, as well as the free identity shifting bootcamp. If you just scroll down to the pinned comments below and also the description box below, you'll be taken to a link where you can just put in your name and email address and you'll get immediate access to that. I'm really excited for you to access that. I'm really excited to share stuff that I can't really share on YouTube because of, YouTube's platform and its limitations. So let's go right ahead and get started. Now, before I get started, I wanted to begin with a quote, which I think will be very useful for this video. And the quote, I can't remember who said it, but it essentially goes something like, spiritual growth is measured by one's ability to focus on wanted thoughts while at the same time ignoring unwanted thoughts. So what this essentially means is that your own spiritual growth, the mastery of life, the degree to which you've attained mastery over yourself and your life, is directly correlated to your ability to ignore thoughts that you don't want and focus on the thoughts that you do want. Okay? And I believe this was said by this great sage, Sri Ramana Maharshi, but I'm not 100% sure on that. You're going to have to fact check me. But essentially, this quote was important for me to understand because it helped me understand why we meditate and, what the true purpose of meditation is. So the biggest problem most people go through when they enter this spiritual journey and they want to, go through meditation, they want to develop personally, they want to become better, is that they just meditate for 10 minutes a day and they forget about the rest of the 23 hours and 50 minutes, right? And this is why most meditators I've seen, they've been meditating for the past 10, 15, even 20 years. Yet they still can't control their minds. They still can't focus on the things that they would like to focus on and ignore unwanted things, right? So they still find that they haven't gotten the progress that they were promised, right? So I started to look into that, like, why does this happen? Why have people been doing this for the past 10, 20 years, but they still haven't been able to see the kind of results that they want to see? And what I found is that they just do it for the 10 minutes a day without bringing that practice into their daily lives. Now, the real purpose of meditation is to become meditative, right? We meditate so that we can become that, we can attain that state throughout our lives, okay? So I want you to take a moment and think about this for a second. Anytime we do an activity, the purpose of immersing ourselves in activity is to become one, is for the actor to become one with the thing being acted on. Action is the act of uniting the actor with the thing being acted on, right? The doing is the process of uniting the doer with the thing being done. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So in a way, this is quite profound, and I know it's getting kind of philosophical and spiritual, but what I want you to understand is the whole purpose of meditation, the act of meditation, when you sit down to do something, to focus on your thoughts, to control your mind, or whatever it is you're doing, the whole purpose of that's just a training wheel. Okay, that's not the real thing. That's just you practicing so you can bring it, that state, and carry it with you everywhere you go. If you just understand this simple thing, nothing will ever be the same. Once I understood this, my whole life changed, because when I started meditating, I didn't see any results from it. I was telling myself that I saw results. I was like, oh yeah, I feel calmer and I feel this and I feel that, but all the same problems were going on over and over again. And even when I sat down to meditate, There were just a million thoughts and my mind would just constantly go nuts and I just couldn't control it, right? So in that sense, there are even some prerequisites to meditation. So this is a very, very deep topic, but I want to give you something actionable for you to do right now. But in order to have any results from the actions, you've got to understand the deeper principles, the deeper purpose of meditation itself. So that's that. The purpose of meditation is to become meditative. And the purpose of action is to unite the actor with the thing being acted on. Okay? So why do we want to become meditative? You might be asking. Well, please think about it this way. Becoming meditative literally means you are not attached to anything, right? You are now a conscious observer of what's going on. And only a conscious observer has the choice available to them to choose how the rest of their lives unfold. So to give you an example of this, you might be going through circumstances that you don't like. Now, if you're not meditative, if you're not conscious, you don't really have a say in what happens to your life, what the trajectory of your life is. If you're constantly reacting to your circumstances, if you're constantly complaining, you're feeling like a victim, you're blaming external circumstances, you don't take any responsibility for what's happening, you won't be able to act in a way that'll help you change this circumstance or, move you and shift you onto a different path, different trajectory to life, right? The only way you can do that is if you stop reacting, is if you stop getting pulled by those thoughts and feelings that are arising naturally. And you can, now there's a separation between you and the thoughts and feelings, right? So the purpose of being meditative does exactly that. It creates this separation. That's what we want to do. We want to create this separation so that there's a clear watching, a clear observing, and that you start to see that you're not this character, this body, or this mind. You're not your thoughts. Sometimes people will have thoughts they don't like, and they'll start to think, oh, why do I have these thoughts? These are such bad thoughts. These are such perverted thoughts. Why do I have them? Instead of judging them, you simply view them as what they are. Thoughts, right? It's just data in and data out. And if you can just start to look at the mind, most of mankind's suffering will just disappear, right? You'll never be reactive, and you'll always have a say in which thoughts you focus on. The ability to focus on the thoughts that are wanted will be there, and that will determine how your life unfolds, right? So when you gain mastery over the mind and body, you essentially gain mastery over your life. That's literally it. Gaining mastery of the body means, in a simple yogic sense, not excessively indulging in anything, not lacking in anything, not getting too much sleep, not getting too little sleep, not eating too much food, not eating too little food. So keeping the body in balance, right? And keeping the mind in balance is simply becoming meditative, learning to watch the thought and see that thoughts are just thoughts, not me. Like, bad thought. Oh, me had bad thought. Me bad for having bad thought. No. So that's the biggest takeaway I want you to, get from this video. Now, in terms of how to meditate, the proper way to do it, I want to share with you just that. So here's basically 4 steps on how to actually meditate, the proper way to do it. So by now you've probably maybe tried out some guided meditations. You probably listen to music while you meditate, and all of those are good, right? But if you really think about it, back in the ancient days, they had none of those. Yogis, they didn't have any of those. They just simply sat down quietly and meditated. Maybe, sure, they had a guru to guide them in meditation, but they didn't always have that. The guru would teach them and guide them in meditation, give them the training wheels so that they could learn to do it themselves. So the ultimate goal is to be able to, independent of all music and guided meditation, be able to do it ourselves and bring it with us in every single area of our lives, in every single activity that we do, right? In our day-to-day. So let's jump right to the 4 steps, the 4 most effective steps on how to meditate. And this is how I've done it, how I've started off. So number 1, what you can do is there's 2 types of meditations that I like to do. And initially when I started off, I preferred one over the other. And the one that I did was I would simply set a timer on my phone for 15 to 20 minutes, and I would put a spot on the wall right in front of me. Now, it's important that you don't put like an image or anything because it'll invoke more feelings. So put something that you're neutral towards, an object that you're neutral towards, or just a dot on the wall, and simply stare at that dot for 15 to 20 minutes, right? This way, when you keep your eyes still, your mind also doesn't wander. You could do that, or you could observe your breath, and that's my personal favorite. You just sit down and you simply look at your natural breathing patterns. You don't have to inhale and exhale. Look at your natural breathing patterns and how you breathe, and just simply observe that. And observe the point at which, you breathe in and you inhale, and observe breath going in and breath coming out. Breath going in, coming out. Now, what will inevitably happen is your mind will get lost in a thought that's too strong. Like a cloud will come and it'll be too foggy and it'll block your focus. What do you do then? You simply try your best to acknowledge and then observe and then zoom out of that. When you acknowledge the thought and you see it as a thought, you stop engaging with it. And then you can return back to observing thought or looking at the spot. It's as simple as that. Every time that happens, an intrusive thought comes up, you just look at it, you observe it, you let it be, and you focus on whatever else. And of course, this is easier said than done, but with practice, again, this is you developing a skill, the skill of being meditative. With practice, this too will come. Okay? That's step 2. And step 3, reaching the ultimate meditative state is when so what happens to me is I'll feel my breath slowing down and my body just getting still. I'll stop moving and twitching and trying to correct my position. I'll be sitting comfortably, and you can sit comfortably on a chair, on a couch, but the important part is that your head and your spine and your pelvis, they're all in one line. There's 3 points. So imagine like 3 chakras. One here, one in your solar plexus, and one in your spleen, or whatever the pelvic area, right? So imagine those 3 chakras being on one line, just being straight. So this whole spine, your spine must be straight. That's what I'm trying to say. So just keep your spine straight wherever you're sitting. Now, I would recommend that you sit somewhere that you don't fall asleep, or you sit somewhere that doesn't like a couch. If it's a very cushy couch, you're going to hunch over and your spine's not going to be straight, right? So do that, sit straight, take some time, set a timer on your phone or whatever, and just observe your breath or watch the spot on the wall. Anytime intrusive thoughts come, observe it, acknowledge it, go back to observing the breath or observing the spot. Okay, that's step 3. And when you feel your breath slowing down and your body relaxing, you'll actually feel this. You'll almost feel like you're letting go of control over your body. You stop twitching or anything. This is when you're reaching that meditative state. And that's when you become very, very relaxed. You become extremely relaxed. So stay with that state as long as you can. Okay, that's the purpose. The purpose of meditation is, one of the big keys of meditations is to get to that state, right? And I love to get to that state. It's something else. It's indescribable. So that's step 3. And step 4 is bringing this realization with you throughout the day. So anytime before you do an activity, anytime, something happens, you just take a minute to slow down and you bring that realization, that meditative realization, the realization of relaxation, how you will relax when you're sitting down. Bring that into the activity. Just simply observing your breath or keeping yourself still for a few moments throughout the day and not just going all over the place with your activity. That's literally it. It can be as simple as that. If you just do that, you'll get into that state again, right? So with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. Let's do a quick recap of what we talked about. Today, we talked about meditation, what the purpose of meditation is, what's the correct way of doing it. And we discussed that, spiritual growth is measured by one's own ability to manage their thought processes, to focus on unwanted to get rid of unwanted thoughts, ignore them, and focus on the wanted ones. And the real purpose of meditation is to become meditative. The real purpose of any activity is to unite the doer with the thing being done in doing. Okay? And becoming meditative allows one to unattach from the reactivity of life and whatever the current trajectory is, so that you can choose your trajectory from this point forward. If you don't like what trajectory your life is going in, you can simply choose which trajectory you move it to, right? That's why we want to become meditative, so we can become conscious and choose how our lives unfold. Everyone should have a say in that. No one should live a life that they don't want to live. I think there was also another saying that, if you're born poor, then it's not your fault. But if you die poor, then it's your fault, right? So next we talked about how to meditate, and I gave you 4 steps. Number 1 is you can do 2 forms of meditation. Either observe your breath or look at a spot on the wall. Those are the ones that I started with, and those are the ones I can talk about. I've never really gotten into guided meditations or anything like that, because I've always found the natural process is more effective. But that's just my personal preference. If guided meditations work for you, great, do them. Number 2. So number 1, observe your breath or look at a spot and set a timer for at least 15 minutes. Step 2 is when your mind starts to wander and some thought that's very strong comes up, you simply just let that thought be there. You acknowledge that thought. Okay, thought is there. And you let it be. Let that be. And you zoom out of it and you focus back into what it is you're doing. Step 3 is you'll reach the meditative state when you feel your breath slowing down. And this usually happens around the 10-minute mark. So around the 6 to 10 minute mark, you'll feel yourself getting super relaxed and your breath will slow down. And you'll almost feel extremely still in the body, right? There will be no twitching or anything or any correcting necessary anymore. And that's the ultimate meditative state, which is what I like to call it. And step 4, you want to bring this realization with you throughout the whole day. Take some moments throughout the day to just tap back into that stillness, what it felt like. And just center yourself, look around you, look at yourself, and just in that way, as long as you're not lost in any activity, you'll be centered, right? So with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. Leave me a comment letting me know what you thought of this. If you'd like me to make some whiteboard videos, if you'd like me to make another video about this, if you have any questions, if you'd like me to make any future videos, leave me a comment, let me know that. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that little bell there so you're notified of any new video that I put out. And also, if you'd like to work closer together with us, the link to do that is in the description below. Who we typically work with are people who are business owners and entrepreneurs who want to take their businesses to the next level. And what they're seeing is they have the tactics and strategies, but tactics and strategies aren't the problem. The real problem is them. Internally, they feel like they have a block, and that's why they're stuck at that certain revenue level. If that sounds like you, just click on the link in the description to apply to see if we can help you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there. And we also have a free Facebook group open for you, so you can click on the link in the description to sign up for that. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Peace.